give that a minute. Thank you, Heather. All right. Welcome to the December meeting of the I-35 Board of Directors. We'll do a quick roll call. Nathan Gibson, here.
Melissa Keller here.
Jessica Buckland here.
Monica Strange here.
Ross Boffman here.
All right, thank you. If you can join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Pulled that whole thing down. All right, we'll do a quick review of the I-35 mission statement and district priorities and the board goals. The mission statement for the Interstate 35 Community School District exists to develop lifelong learners and responsible, productive, successful citizens in an ever-changing society. Our district priorities are to articulate and support cohesive, student-centered pre-K through 12 vision for continuous school improvement, engage in effective teaching and relevant learning for the 21st century, and operate with fiscal integrity, efficiency, and effectiveness. This year's board goals are to continue to strengthen the culture of learning at Interstate 35 Community School District that lends to engaged learning and rigorous growth. And number two, by the end of 2024-2025 school year, the school will ensure transparency and will achieve optimal resource management by aligning staff levels with student enrollment, maintaining a balanced budget, and ensuring full compliance with Iowa taxation laws. With that, we'll review or discuss the agenda. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Been properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have a public hearing on the Instructional Support Program. The public hearing for the proposed resolution to continue participation in the Instructional Support Program is now commencing. Remember, speakers, the topic is an instructional support program. The Interstate 35 School District Board of Education welcomes and appreciates input from residents, students, and parents and guardians and staff members. Speakers will come to the front of the room while addressing the board. During the public hearing, board members will listen to speakers' comments and consider those views when taking action on the specific topic. The speaker's participation is limited to 5 minutes. Do we have anybody who wishes to speak on the public hearing for the Instructional Support Program? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the hearing, public hearing on the Instructional Support Program. Next up, we have the resolution to continue participating in the Instructional Support Program. We talked about this briefly, board members, and voted to put the intent of notice at the last school board meeting. So this is about actually our intent to renew the Instructional Support Program. If my peers will indulge me for just a minute, I want to talk briefly about this just to make sure we're all on the same page on this. So the instructional support, and I've already talked to April, and I told her to immediately get on the mic if I say anything incorrect, so she might jump in and correct me, but it's kind of a complicated topic. But we have an instructional support levy that needs to get renewed every 5 years. Currently, that levy represents $400,000, give or take, somewhere around there. And right now, that's 100% on property taxes. So if you think of our levy as a stack of Legos for property taxes, and there's debt service Lego, there's this Lego, then at the very top, there's a thin layer of instructional support program. It's just a piece of the overall property tax levy. When we go to renew it, there's two options. You can continue to renew it on property tax, or you have the option to shift a certain percentage of that instructional support levy over to income tax. At the last board meeting, so let me take a step back. So there's basically three options as I see it. One, do you want to renew the instructional support levy? Once you've made that decision, then do you want to renew it with it all on property tax? Or do you want to renew it with a portion of it going to income tax? What we voted on at the last board meeting was our intent to notify the public that we plan on moving a portion of it over to income tax. And that is what this vote is about renewing the instructional support levy and moving portions of it. However this goes, if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, the administration still has the ability to come back to us with the instructional support levy to renew again, but this time all on property taxes. So I'm going to take a pause, make sure I summarized everything correctly, and if April would like to add anything.
I just want to add that it's the income surtax, so it's not adding to what your taxable income is. It's looking at your taxable, what your taxes are owed, and then adding, in this case, 1% to that.
To the taxes that you owe. So again, something else I learned, just make sure we all have the right information. This isn't something that comes out of your paycheck every week, like or every month, whatever your pay period is. It's when you file taxes at the end of the year. You owe a certain percentage of tax to the state. This tax is a percentage of what you owed to the state. So it's not like off your total income. Now, keep in mind, the thing I want to reiterate, you can't double dip, right? So if we decide to move certain amounts to this income surtax, it is offset on the instructional support levy on the property tax levy. You cannot double dip. It is a shifting buckets one way or another. So that's where we're at. Those are the things you consider, the things we'll try and debate. It is not an additional tax. Again, whatever you move over there gets offset on the instructional support levy on the property tax side. So with that, I'll open up to my colleagues if they have any questions.
How many schools actually do the income tax versus the other?
I don't have exact numbers, but I had sent that, there's a document that's out there if you just look at income surtax, and guessing, I would say at least 75% of schools use it in some function, whether it's, because there's two different areas that you can use that on.
Yeah, I would definitely note when I was looking at that document, we are in the extreme minority for not having it on the income surtax. So
Yeah, I had looked at it, and so I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that that's what I was seeing,
Yep.
is that it looks like the majority of schools do dip into that, and we're in the minority that does not. So, and then by doing this, it brings everyone in the community then essentially supporting that, like, it's not just homeowners anymore like it would be for property taxes. It's for people who are in the district, so rent or own.
Correct, so it would be anyone who has a tax obligation to Iowa. If I say I currently don't have a tax obligation, then 1% of zero is zero. So I think the example I'd sent out was if my taxable income is around $75,000, then my obligation for Iowa taxes is $2,800 is what I would pay. And then, so then 1% in addition, doing this at a 1% rate would add $28 to it for the year.
The requirement, if we elect to do this, we vote this in, it's at least 1%, but we can go higher on that percentage, correct?
That's correct. Approximately for every 1% that you bring in through income surtax, it's about 14 cents off the property tax in that Lego section for the income support program with the levy.
And to further clarify, keep me honest on this, school boards legally can go up to 10% on that. However, by law, you could go up to 20% so that Lego is still gonna be there on property tax. The most we could do is just move 10% of that Lego over to income. You could go up to 20%, but that requires a vote to people, if I'm understanding it correctly.
The other 10% would come from voted PEPAL, and that doesn't expire till 2028, so that's not one that we're looking at. So right now, the most we would ever be able to raise it to would be a 10%. And I'm not saying that that's what the board is looking to do. It's at least that minimum of 1%, and then able to look at when we're doing the budget to see exactly how that impacts and what the board is comfortable with doing.
So I think for me, one of the things, Jessica, that you had brought up as I sat and thought about this, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other, with the exception that right now, 100% of the burden is on property owners. Like, that because it's property tax, so you owe a tax. If you moved 1% or up to 10% of it over, still, let's say 90%, it's still the exact same. 90% of it now is going to property tax still, but 10% of it would then be distributed across property owners and renters, right? So it begins to, take however small amount off the property tax owners and just kind of distribute that across the organization. So, across the district. So again, just a reminder, the proposal we have on the table here that we're kind of deliberating and will eventually vote on would be to, 1, an intent to renew, and 2, an intent to move at least 1% of it over to the income surtax. And again, if for whatever reason it fails, it does not mean that we don't get a chance at supporting the instructional support levy. Point being is you can still support the instructional support levy, but not necessarily if you don't, want to move it to income tax. The administration can come back with another proposal. We just go through this cycle again with just the new public hearing. So with that, is there any further debate or questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to introduce the resolution to continue participation in the instructional support program and move to adopt it.
It's been properly moved. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
I,
Opposed? Resolution passes. All right. Next, we'll move on to the regular open forum. As a reminder, residents and students, parents and guardians, and staff members of the district may address the board about relevant topics. Those who wish to speak must sign up at the beginning of the meeting. Speakers' participation is limited to 5 minutes per meeting. We ask speakers to remember that Iowa law prohibits the board from discussing specific employees, students, or their performance. I have 2 people signed up tonight, and first I will call up Jamie Lee.
That's a lot. Yeah. All right. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right. I'm just going to read directly so I don't mess this up. I'm here tonight to speak regarding the current shortage of associate staff within our school district. As you will see in Mrs. Good's board report, we are struggling immensely with our ability to both retain and hire new associate staff. In the past few months, we've lost 2 associates, both of whom I'm convinced will be here today if we had competitive wages. Due to a lack of a livable wage, when weighing the impact leaving the district would have on their students versus their ability to maintain financial stability took precedence for both, as it would for any adult with any living expenses. No one should be expected to come to work, give 110% of themselves, and then not be fairly compensated for it. The days before the departure of one of our associates we lost in the fall was met with tears, what ifs, and if money wasn't an issue, this wouldn't be a problem. Another associate shared that even with her husband working multiple jobs, they're unable to provide for their own family because she cannot financially contribute. April can correct me if I'm wrong in my calculations, but with our current starting wage of $13.02, the actual annual take-home pay for our associates is under $13,000 a year. I'm no expert, but I can certainly say that $13,000 is by no means a livable wage. It is no wonder we're not able to retain or hire new staff. The reality is, we're quickly hitting a point We will not be able to have associates to fill all the spaces required by our students' IEPs. Where we do have do not have associates for students, those needs then fall into the responsibility of the special education teacher. Can speak from my own experience and the gap time we had between one of my associates leaving and the shuffling, it became my responsibility. So my days were filled with students in my room where I was scribing for them, I was handling social, emotional, behavior, mental health issues, all sorts of things, while providing SDI and handling all accommodations for the other students on my roster. And I have to say, I have one of the easier caseloads in our district. For some of our students, having an associate is literally the only way they're able to come to school, not just successfully, but for their legitimate safety within the school districts. Our associates fill a gap that is simply not able to be filled otherwise. We ask them to do so much, from getting to know our students' gives, to know what a behavior might occur, reading aloud to them with a student due to a reading disability, taking notes for a student in literally every class due to a writing disability, helping with medical duties due to a physical disability, helping with executive function or organizational skills, and so much more, but paid bare minimum. In November, Michael attended the IASB annual convention with Mr. Grandin, Nathan, and Monica. Afterward, we had many conversations at home with my 17-year-old son about finances, the SPED deficit, and the fact that we cannot deny services or not provide services listed in IEP simply because we do not have the people. Sorry, super passionate about this. Like, it's hitting hard tonight. I'm urging you to begin exploring options that will increase our retention and hiring potential so we don't find ourselves in that situations. And just asking you, we all say we're here for the kids. This is a point where we can figure out how to do it, because without our associates, I can't do my job and my kids can't be successful. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, Jessica Lee.
You got a timer because I tend to ramble. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jessica Lee. I started here in 2013 as a PK associate, so got a little bit of experience under my belt. I actually started as a sub-associate, found out the position was open, and went and sat in the office until I got the job. That's how much I wanted to be here and how much I wanted to work with kids. Our associates are mainly what I'm speaking to tonight, just from experience and then from some other associates that I spoke with. But our associates work with students who are our most vulnerable. Some of them are nonverbal. Some are hearing impaired. Some are so academically low that they need consistent support in writing, reading, math. Some have behavior, adaptive behavior, occupational therapy, and physical therapy that associates are responsible for throughout the day. We have medically needy students who we have amazing associates who are trained to work with. Some of our duties include, and mind you, part of this is from a preschool window, but bathrooming. I can't tell you the number of times I've been peed on or puked on or had other nice bodily functions on my person. We teach kids to stand in line, how to take turns, how to wait patiently, how to listen respectfully, how to interact with your peers. We help monitor physical safety of our students. We are sometimes scribes. We are sometimes audiobooks. We help students with pacing. So sometimes if you're in a classroom with a student, they can't necessarily keep up with the teacher. So part of our job is reminding them to go at their own pace and then catching them up as they go. We are also responsible for assisting our students with assistive technology. Some of those things are talking devices, hearing devices, and adaptive equipment. We are also responsible for data collection, which is individual to each student and can be anything from Timberline, which is part of our, I believe, Medicaid reimbursement for those students, to behavior data, to when I was in preschool, I had a binder for one student that I had to fill out every day because I had to keep track of occupational therapy, behavior therapy, physical aggression towards self, physical aggression towards peers. Bathrooming is highly detailed in preschool as well. Those types of things. We are responsible for duties before school, after school, recess, and lunch. All of those take knowing not only your student, but multiple students. I can tell you our associates who do lunch duties know every kid with an allergy and know what they can and can't have. And they make sure that they're doing what they need to on top of the food service ladies because kids trade food. That's a fact. We are also responsible for communicating with teachers, both gen ed and sped. That can be done minute to minute or hour to hour, day to day. In the upper grades, associates are responsible for ensuring students are prepared to learn, making sure that they have everything they need. Sometimes that can be as reminding them to take their medication. Again, our nurses are great, but also overwhelmed, so that's something associates kind of help with. We reteach as needed, so again, that goes with the pacing piece, where if a student's falling behind, then it's our job to know the material to be able to help them get caught up. Also, associates are responsible for schedules, so what needs to be done today, what's coming next, and sometimes in that, it's helping kids understand their grades. Did you turn in an assignment? Is that why maybe you've got a missing in your grade book? Other information that I got from associates that I spoke with, most associates throughout the day go without breaks. They get their lunch and that's it, and oftentimes feel guilty for going to the restroom because there's not coverage for that child then, or children if there's multiple. It is a nonstop pace, often going from classroom to classroom, duty to duty, not a whole lot of just calm time. Thank you. Our associates know our students probably the best. They are with this child literally all day. And this is no discredit to our teachers. Our teachers are amazing, but when you are 1 to 18, it's really hard to get to know the intricacies of that student, such as what motivates them, what might trigger them, where they might need more help in their day, and where you can kind of push that independence piece. Associates are responsible for building relationships. If you don't have that with your students, sometimes it's really hard to get them to work and to be successful. The other thing I'd like to speak to is when we don't have associates, and teachers cannot fill in or other staff members cannot fill in, unfortunately, sometimes kids go without, and that is impactful. You can see how it impacts their learning in their day. And the switches that also happen are hard. So I think I'm done. Yeah, my timer. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, next we have the student representative report. Mr. Ross.
So currently, over the last month, on December 5th, the dance team participated in a state competition, and they received a Division I plaque. So congratulations to them, and that was for their jazz routine. As you guys know, the NHS is hosting a chili supper tonight to contribute to different service projects and other things throughout the school year. And then last week, NHS adopted a family for Christmas and got them some Christmas presents, so that's a good thing that they're doing there. Last week, the band and choir had a concert, and that was on Thursday, and they had a pretty good turnout. And then congratulations to Michael McClelland. He was selected to participate in the South Central Iowa Bandmasters Association, and that's like the second highest on the state level to be selected for. And then also, he auditioned for the Drake Honor Band and was selected to participate in that one as well. So congratulations to him for that. And then on a positive note, winter break is coming up. A lot of people are excited about that, students and staff. And as part of that, there's dress-up days this week. Today was PJ Day, and tomorrow is class color, so sophomores and freshmen will wear green, and juniors and seniors will wear red. Wednesday is dress as your favorite movie character, and then Thursday is hat day, so wear your favorite holiday hat, and then Friday is wear flannel. And then as far as sports go, some upcoming events for boys wrestling. There is the duels, and that is at Shenandoah High School, and that is on the 20th of this month. And then for January, there's one on the 9th, and that is here against Moravia. And then there's the Roland Dyer tournament, so to speak, and that's at Atlantic High School, and that is on the 11th of January. And then the quad meet is here, and that is the 16th for boys. And then for girls, they have a lot of upcoming events too. Today, actually, they had the Sadell Invitational Meet, and that was at Sadell. And then on the 19th, there's the conference tournament, and that is at Woodward Granger. And then the 4th of January, there's a tournament in Clarenda. And then the 7th, there is a wrestling invite, and that is at Panorama. And then for basketball, the boys are facing Earlham tonight, and then tomorrow they have a game against Panorama, and that is here as well. And then on the 7th of January, they are facing Sheraton, and that is here. And then as far as girls go, they are facing Earlham tonight, and then tomorrow they're facing Panorama as well. And then on the 7th, they are facing Sheraton. And that's all I got. Any questions? No, I didn't. I know. Well, yeah.
Are you going to participate at all this week?
Oh, yeah, I will. Yeah. The flannel day especially, yeah.
Do you have, how would a movie character?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite movie character would be.
Cute Cindy Lou Who.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Any other questions?
No.
Alrighty. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Roadrunners Celebrate Success. We'll start with Miss Angie Stroh, who's going to provide us some information regarding the recent food service audit.
I don't think I need that. Good evening to you guys. So I'm going to give you just a little short version of what we've been going through. So an administrative review in a nutshell happens every 5 years. And it's a pretty big thing, you know, a lot of stress, digging, archives, reports, documents, information, a lot of fun stuff. But through it all, it is actually for the Bureau of Food, Nutrition, and Services. They'll take all of these administrative reviews. District A, how did you measure up in compliance? End of story. So your administrative review will show, how have you been doing? Are you in compliance? Are you not in compliance? Violations, no violations. Fiscal violations, yay or nay. So through it all, every 5 years you have this, so you do know when it's coming, when it's not coming. It's not like a health inspection where it's a surprise. So for months now, April and Deanne and I have been pulling reports, information, and documents, uploading, scanning, meeting deadlines, trying to give all the consultants everything they need when they needed it, and we did it. Done. Almost done. So it's a big off of our plates. However, going through all of this, it's not something that you can just skip through. Hey, now they need these reports or those documents. This is a process that you have to show that you have an organized process. It is something that is elongated, and the consultants know. Either you have your stuff together or you don't have it together. So I can very happily say we do have it together, and I'm very happy on how the review. We had a very good review, and I'm happy. I'm excited. April and Deanna and I, we've worked really hard for the past couple months, a lot of stress. And I want to say thank you to all of them. Also, I need to say thank you to my staff, because without them, part of the review wouldn't have went like it would have went. And I thank them for their support too, because I was stressed. Here's a fun fact I'll just give you. We knew when our consultant was coming, first week in December. So we planned for it. You have binders, reports, documents in the high school conference room, binders everywhere on this conference table already. So we have our entrance meeting that morning with her. and everything goes great, but we know we have a lot to do that day, so we're kind of booking on this end and that end. I just said, can we just take like a half an hour break? I just need a half an hour break, and we'll kind of gather our thoughts. We'll meet back. So I told my staff, I'm like, I'm gonna go back to my office. Just give me just a couple minutes. I need to take a breather. So I did. Sat there, put my head in my hands, and thought, okay, here we go. We got this. And the door opened, and I heard, hello, Angie, how are you today? And I just lifted my head and thought, for the love of God, it's the health inspector. So I looked and I'm like, well, mister, you are the cherry on top of my week this week, so let's just get this going. So that was fun. That was fun, but we got that done and over with, so there we go. But in administrative review, it goes everything from procurement, verifications, monitoring, meal counting, nutrition, meal patterns. It goes everything from reports, fundings, everything. So we've got it, and we are pretty much done with it. We have one little off-site review that is left kind of hanging. We're just waiting for information on procurement. So we got a very good review, so I'm very happy. So.
First off, I know that's a lot of work, and the audit, I'm assuming it's because federal funds are coming into this, and the federal funds are associated with certain, ironically, checks and balances. I know they've been through that paperwork, and thank you for all your time that you're putting into it. But more importantly, I think just running the program, overall, like taking care of our kids, and then also having to cross all the federal government, T's and I's.
Well, it's kind of
while
like your
you're at it.
taxes, you
So,
can't, you're either doing it right or not.
Yeah, yeah,
And they find out and they know.
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will just add, and Angie won't celebrate it enough, but during our exit meeting with the lady at the state, she did say this is the best one she's ever done. So
Well done.
what she's doing with her staff and April and Deanne is incredible.
Yes.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We've actually are blessed with a couple Roadrunner Celebrate Success. We have Ms. Dickinson, and she's going to highlight topics from her programming for the district social worker. And looks like Ms. Steinloggy's coming up too.
Good evening. I asked Angie to come with me tonight because very little of what I do is a one-man show. So much of what we do through student services is a team effort. And so I was not going to stand up here and take credit for programs that I am not solely running. And so that's why I asked her to be here. I'm going to talk first about the ones that I kind of coordinate, and then we'll talk together about the ones we coordinate together. One of the programs I coordinate in the elementary is Wildwood. We started last year with the elementary sending 6 kids for 6 weeks at a time on Wednesday afternoon from 1:30 to 2:30. I would take them in the minivan, and we just kind of figured it out together with Wildwood. Mrs. Woods would pick the students, and students could go for all sorts of reasons. Students could go because they were having behavior struggles. Students could go because they were having a hard time at home, or there were things going on at home. Students could go because they needed a confidence builder. Students could go because maybe they were ADHD and needed that hands-on experience. And it has been a wonderful experience. Every session, every group kind of looks different because it just depends on who the kids are, where the kids are at. But one of the main goals of Wildwood is a confidence builder. Like when kids first go out there, most of them have never rode a horse before. They can't imagine getting on a horse. And Mr. Lynn runs that program, and he'll give the student the reins, and he'll say, "You want to ride? Figure out how to get on." And we kind of problem solve together, but it pushes kids out of their comfort zone and kids become very attached to a certain horse, or they hate that horse and won't take it the next time, but it's been a really good experience. We were fortunate last year that PBIS helped pay for that, to make that work. We paid Wildwood $12.50, and that was for one semester. We also send students to Wildwood on Thursday nights. Last year we sent, and several years, we've been doing this for a while, we sent students all year. That was $5,000. It was $2,500 a semester. And so we kind of worked out a deal with Wildwood that since our elementary increased through 6th grade, and most of our students who are going to Wildwood are 8th grade to 3rd grade. You have to be 8 in order to go for their liability. And a lot of times it's hard to get high schoolers involved because they have so many activities after school. So that's kind of our focus area. Since we included 6th grade this year, junior high is going 2nd semester as well, and we were able to keep it at the $5,000 to do both programs. So I think that's an awesome deal for us and an awesome deal for Wildwood. Sorry, April. I'm not a public speaker. It's also really hard for me to talk about myself, so I kind of wrote down some of the keynotes. On a side note, we also send students to Wildwood for summer camp. Students do not have to pay a dime to go. The criteria for that is they are disadvantaged youth. And so again, that could be all sorts of criteria. One of the awesome things about it is when a student goes for the first time, they are offered back every year until they reach, well, they want them until they're 18. They want to keep them long term. And so it's really nice that we can start kids at 8. You need to be 8 to go, and they could still be going at 16. They give us 10 and 10 boys and 10 girls, and it's a great experience for our kids. They look forward to it. I wrote down service learning. One of the goals for Mrs. Woods, last year we started kind of dabbing our toes into it, and our goal was this year we were going to have a service learning project for every grade K through 6, and I kind of listed what those are. In the kindergarten, we do a warm fuzzy. I take 4 students on Monday morning. We make this kind of yarn thing with eyes, and they pick somebody at the school that they want to deliver that to. I help them write a little note about why did they choose that person, and we talk about what does it mean to fill somebody's bucket. And after they go and deliver it and get a picture with them, then we talk about how did that fill your bucket, and kids can really relate to that. First grade's one of my favorite grades because we partnered with Winterset Elderly Services last year, and every Friday we deliver Meals on Wheels to elderly residents. Our numbers really fluctuate. Like when the weather's nice, the numbers go down. As it gets colder here, our numbers go up. So we've went as many as 6 places. Right now we're currently 3. We're 2 people in St. Charles and a new family, a new couple that just started in Truro. That has been a wonderful experience, not only for our kids, but for the people as well. They know on Friday we're coming. They're waiting at the door for us. They have treats for the kids. Like, it's a great experience. And the kids get to tell them who they are, something about themselves. Like at Christmas time, we talk about something they want for Christmas, but it teaches kids to interact with other people. And again, we talk about like filling their bucket and how that fills your bucket too. We just had a new couple start in Truro 2 weeks ago, and it was kind of awkward because I asked if I could take their picture with them, because I think it's nice for parents to see like what did my kid do or where'd they go. And the husband and wife were like thrilled that we were taking their picture, so it was a neat experience. Second grade does Madison County Conservation. They really run on their own. The second grade team works directly with Madison County. Madison County comes and does some things with the kids about like taking care of our earth and taking care of where we live. And this year they are focusing on doing a prairie north of the library in that kind of dead area. Third grade goes to Homestead and Osceola. Each section goes twice. They go once in the fall and once in the spring. They do an craft activity with the residents there. Sometimes they take books and read with them, but that's been a good experience. Fourth grade went to Wildwood in the fall. They helped rake leaves, pick up sticks, anything Wildwood needed done, make beds. And in the spring, they'll go to Child Serve. We got to go to Child Serve last spring. They help coordinate activities for our kids. One of them last year, they made Valentine boxes for the kids who live there. And that was a good experience. Fifth grade does Food Bank of Iowa. Food Bank of Iowa is who delivers food to us for our food pantry. And we either pack the meals that go home to kids for over the weekend, or we'll take big quantities of food and help break them down to more family individual servings. One of the times we went there, we did oatmeal. And the next week, we had oatmeal delivered to our food pantry. So it's kind of nice to see that. Sixth grade went to the Veterans Cemetery in Adel this year. And they also, as a group, were able to do Meals from the Heartland the 1st of November, and they went as an entire grade. Second semester, they're going to do something with presentation for the elderly. We haven't quite worked all of that out yet. Angie and I are working on incorporating more service learning into the junior high and high school. A couple weeks ago, we asked for volunteers to go to Central Iowa Shelter and Services. That is the homeless program downtown. And that day, we served a meal to over 300 homeless people. I think it's an awesome experience for our kids just to see how other people live, to give back. We are going back again on February 14th on Valentine's Day to do that meal, and looking at other opportunities there. In the elementary, we started success coaching this year. There are several of us who are doing success coaching. And a kid can be referred for success coaching for a ton of different reasons. Some students who are new and just need some extra support. Some students who might be struggling a little bit. Some students who just need that extra one-on-one time. Miss Reisinger and I are two of them that are on the success team, and we tend to get students who might need a little bit more social emotional. And that can look different for any student. I meet with all the students on my caseload once a week, some twice, and we usually play a game, talk about the week, talk about how things are going, and I think a lot of times kids just need to feel heard. I meet with students in the junior high and high school as well. We don't call that success coaching, but kids always know that Angie and I have an open door, and if something's going on, they can come. Truancy. I work with the administration on the truancy. So the laws changed this year, and we send a letter at 8. We have a meeting at 12, and you are referred to the county attorney at 17. Those numbers do start over at semester. I become involved at 12. Mr. Beckel and I have had a handful of them this semester. I write up the contract, we meet together with the student and family, talk about where things are at, where we need to be, sign the contract, and talk about how we're going to work together. Unfortunately, a couple times a year, we end up referring to truancy, and I usually make that referral to the county attorney. We go with the county attorney and have a mediation, talk about what do we need to do for things to look differently and work together, but it's all about working together. I think it was funny, we had this meeting tonight because we had an 8th grader refusing to come to school this morning. And Grandma called me and said, is there any way you can come help me? So I found Mr. Beckel, and we took off on the icy roads and went and got her, and she came, and we had a good conversation. We talked about where we need to be, and she finished the day here. And otherwise, she would have never came to school today. So that was a good experience. Backpack program and food pantry. So Angie and I do the food pantry. That is twice a month. The month of December is only once because of the holiday, but we are on Food Bank of Iowa's schedule. They changed our time to Monday mornings at 8 a.m. every other Monday, and so that's kind of crazy because it's school drop-off time, but it all works. The food pantry is open to any individual who lives in our district. They do not have to have kids in our school. They can be elderly. None of that matters. They just reside in our district. We fluctuate on numbers. We can have between 20 and 30 people show up on a Monday. There is some qualifications for that, in that if you're a family who's on free and reduced, you automatically qualify. Otherwise, there's an income guideline through the food bank. I feel like that program is really strong. We are really lucky because we're in the back of the auditorium, so it's easy for families to pull up, to be able to take food out, and we're pretty fortunate on what we get from the food bank. Like, we get a lot of meat, and that's what families need. The backpack program, Sue Mager started that. I'm not even sure when, and I kind of took it over a couple years ago. There is no qualifications for a backpack program. If a family calls and says they have a need, we put them on the program. We are currently up to 24 families. I will say that is the highest we've had since I've been here. And I counted that up, and it's 57 school-age students. We send a food bag home every Thursday. We do it on Thursday, so on the off chance they were sick on Friday, we want them to have the food for the weekend. We send home a breakfast, 2 entrees, canned fruit and vegetables, and some kind of a snack. We are able to supplement from the food bank, but all of it is non-perishable. So typically what we supplement from the food bank is like the canned fruit or the canned vegetables. Otherwise, our program relies solely on donations. We have been extremely lucky that we live in such a supportive community. We have one gal who writes us a check every month for $150 to the program. We had another gentleman who lives in our community and works for a bank and gave us $1,000 or $2,000 last year. But that, it really relies on the community support. We also are very cognizant of privacy for students. If a student rides the bus, I take the bags to the bus shed early Thursday morning. The bus drivers load them on the bus, and so the student picks up the bag as they get off the bus Thursday night. We don't want kids carrying bags through the school. Also, we send a family bag, so it's a reusable bag, it's a bigger bag, and not everyone's bringing home a plastic bag with a can of vegetables falling out. If they are daycare, we deliver the bags to the daycare. If they are parent pickup, we take the bags to that teacher's classroom. And I really feel like that's worked well for our kids, and you're able to have that privacy too. Thanksgiving. We provide every family on the backpack program with a Thanksgiving meal. The Thanksgiving meal is due to St. Charles Parish, St. Patrick's Irish Settlement, NHS, and New Virginia Methodist Church. All of us work together to make sure that we have a turkey for every family. We have all the fixings, pancakes for that morning, a gallon of milk, butter, all of that. The families are extremely appreciative of that. We also provide support for students on the backpack program and just students who need the support at Christmas. We served 74 students this Christmas season with gifts, and that was through Mentor Iowa. We created a partnership with Mentor Iowa a couple years ago. We are very fortunate. They sponsored 30 of our kids. They take 30 of our kids every year. New Virginia Methodist Church, St. Charles Parish. Oh, I should say too, the Student Council. I don't want to leave them out. They help us with Thanksgiving. NHS, St. Patrick's Irish Settlement, Crisp and Winterset. We have community members that I know will call me every October and want a list before Black Friday. Like we almost have more people wanting to help than we have kids, and that's such a great problem to have. We actually had more help this year than we had kids, and we had some community members donate money to buy hams for families for Christmas. Anything you can think of? Okay, get up here. So we do the backpack and we do the Christmas and Thanksgiving. That is not a one-person job, and then we do these together as well.
ISTEP is another program that we run. It's Iowa Students for Prevention, or Tobacco Education and Prevention. And right now I think we have between 60 and 75 7th and 8th graders that participate in that. And so it's wonderful. In October, November, we took them to the Iowa State Fair. It's their annual ISTEP conference, all of those students, and it actually was a great experience for them. They heard from different speakers, and it's just been a great thing. So every month we try to have a speaker come in and speak with them. And we do different activities. We actually had Des Moines University graduate students come in November, I believe it was, and they met with all the 7th and 8th graders. It was in the gym, and they brought in different organs and talked with all of our kids about the effects from those organs, and so it was a really cool experience. So that's another thing that we do. Probably, I think it was a few years ago, we set a culture goal at Interstate 35, and one of the roles Rose and I were tasked with was new mentors for new families. And so every year we get all the list of the new families, and we send out folders home with them, and it includes all the stuff about Interstate 35. We also get them a homecoming pass. We give them all the contacts. We send them a quarterly newsletter home with them, so they just know if there's anything that they're needing as a new family. It can be hard if you're not around here, ways that we can help them out. So that is something that we have done. I'm sure all of you have heard about or been involved in the Back to School Bash. We started that with building the school culture, so we started the Back to School Bash. That's when we did Grown-Ups with Donuts and Grandparents' Day. So those were a few of the things that came about because our goal was to help strengthen our community alliance with everyone. I think, as you can tell, we have a really good relationship with a lot of people in the community. Our community is amazing. I think, Melissa, you sent my phone number to someone the other day, and she had a cell, and she gave all the money to the backpack program. Saturday night, like Rose said, I got a call from someone saying, how can I sponsor a family? And so I just think that there's so many people willing to help us that we're just blessed to have all the community members that we do. Every other year we do Health Awareness Day, and so this is middle school and high school, and so we have a lot of guest speakers. We usually start out with a motivational speaker, but then we'll have people come in and talk about self-defense, vaping, nutrition, all kinds of things to help students make healthy decisions. So that will be happening in February, so we'll be getting ready for that shortly. And I guess something we're very excited about. It's been a few years, but we've been trying to get a school-based therapist really hard. And we can get telehealth. That's not an issue. We've been blessed. Honestly, we have Scanlon. They provide telehealth for several of our students right now. But we had a meeting today with Heart and Solutions LLC, and Mr. Grandin and Ms. Good, Rose and I were in the meeting, and it sounds very promising that we might be getting a school-based therapist. So those are just a few of the things that we're trying to work on, but we're always up for new ideas because we like to definitely provide things for our students and our families. So those are a few of the things that we're doing.
Do you have any questions for us?
I'm going to get here before Nathan. Wow, that is outstanding. When you lay it out like that, that's amazing. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing. I'm almost tearing up, actually. The partnerships that you guys have created, I think it's a little difficult sometimes when we're 3 towns and one school. And so partnering up with Madison County, that's amazing because they have their own school there. So I'm glad that we're being pulled into that. The creativity in helping the students who probably don't want to be noticed and don't want to, nobody wants them to know. Thank you for the creativity in doing that, being modest about that. So I am very moved by all of this, and I really appreciate you guys going through this. It's amazing. And it's going to walk with these kids and the parents for a long, long time. So thank you.
I'm gonna beat you too. Yeah, thank you. I've been lucky enough to help at the food pantry, and what you guys do is just, it's amazing. It makes me cry too. It makes me, like, how many kids and stuff in our community are affected. So thank you for making it so it's not so hard for them and not so hard for their families, because it makes me sad, because we are a smaller community, to hear that we have those numbers. So it's nice to know that they have somewhere that they can count on too, and that everyone's willing to support that. It just makes you feel even better to be here. So thank you for all that.
I should add that Clark County Hospital, I feel bad, I forgot. Clark County Hospital did a food drive, and they contacted us 2 weeks ago, and they split it between Clark County Food Pantry and Interstate 35 Food Pantry. They said that they have several employees that have students in our district, and we received a lot of food.
Yeah.
Isn't there a drive going on right now for the backpack
Yeah.
program? When does that end?
The high school ends tomorrow. The middle school, I'm not really sure, but all of that is, so I forgot that too, all of that is going to the backpack program.
Is that the elementary with, like, you put it under the trees?
For the houses,
Yes?
yeah.
Oh, thank God. Okay, because I shove stuff under the trees. Like, I think this is where it goes. There are no
Yeah.
boxes.
I am just sitting here in awe and thinking about, this is above and beyond, like everything you just sat here and talked about. You guys have normal day jobs that you're doing for the school, and it just blows my mind. I mean, all of you, like your whole heart committed to this community and this school, and just seeing it all on paper and hear you talk about it. You said you weren't a public speaker. I think you did a really good job for not being a public speaker. It was amazing. I think the first part you talked about is not only are you doing that, you're teaching our kids, the next generation of leaders, the next generation of community members, why that's important, and instilling that gift of service into them. So thank you for everything that you do. I had 2 questions. One, how does somebody, if they want to donate to the backpack program, potentially listen to this recording or in the crowd later, who do they get in contact with at the school, the color front desk, and just, ask and they'd be redirected? Can you talk a little bit about how somebody would get, in connection if they want to give and be a part?
They could call the front desk and ask for Angie or I. Deanne and Tiffany are also very familiar with the backpack program, and individuals who donate write the check out to I-35 backpack program.
Okay. And then I think on the inverse side of that, if there's somebody in need, somebody who, falls on difficult times and stuff, how do they confidentially reach out and engage and ask for the help and support that they need?
We do have something on the website, although I'm going to be honest, like, parents in need don't necessarily run to the website. We've been really lucky with just word of mouth. 2 of the 24 families we just picked up in the last week, and both of those, someone told them, and then they reached out to me from that. And so we've mainly been word of mouth.
Okay.
But we do have it on our website so that people are aware.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Yes. All right, next up we have the administrator reports. Those all should have been part of your board packet handouts. We'll start with Ms. Woods, who I don't think is in attendance tonight, but I will say I read through that, and I think it was really helpful to understand the different class sizes that they're, having as she talks about their difficulty in filling space and stuff. That was helpful. And I think I might take some time to, come in here before school's out, maybe when it slows down a little bit, but before out to really get a good view of what's happening down there as we look at our facilities plan. So that was helpful for me. All right. Any other questions or anything on Ms. Woods?
Yeah, I don't know if you know, or if somebody else might know, but, so she lists out the teachers that are getting certified to have the dogs in their spaces, and then she states that a few more will over the spring and summer. Is there maybe one teacher in each grade? Do you know? Because I don't.
I'm not exactly sure how she's spreading that out.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'll have to find that answer and get that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
There's no further, questions on Ms. Woods. We'll move to Mr. Beckles. I will say I would like some of Ms. Schultz's chicken noodle soup. That was a good idea. Soup cook-off he talked about in his report. I thought that was a great idea. Next time, just let me know when that's happening. They had the soup cook-off for...
You left out the most important part unless I missed it, which is very possible. Who won?
Ms. Schultz. That's what I said.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, that's what I said. I
Yay!
wanted chicken noodle soup.
Oh, it's,
yeah.
that's not chili. Oh, okay, that's why.
So you were there, you didn't get it.
Because I actually,
Okay.
okay. Very cool, very cool.
Yep. All right.
Oh, there it is.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Buckle or anything? Okay. Next we have Ms. Good's report. I think on this one, I first thank you for kind of laying out the state of the state with the associates. I think you did a good job of kind of, outlining the situation we're in with the resignations and stuff. I will say this is one of the things, there's only so much money that comes in from the state, right? Unless there's a huge influx of, new students, either through open enrollment, which I hope for, right? I want us to be a destination school and people, want to open enroll here. But without that additional revenue, there's only, so many places it can go. But I think one of the things I've talked with Chad about, and I've mentioned before, we just need to look at, where we spend our money and what's the biggest priority. And I think that this is a priority area that we will continue to discuss and understand what levers we can pull in different locations in order to make sure, we are competitive in this space. And I think it was really helpful to give the view of, what other districts are paying, gives us a good baseline to look at. And then from there, just figuring out where we can, pull different levers is the only way I can, think about it. So, we might have upcoming work sessions and things as we plan next year's budget to hash some of that out and outline some of that. And then I assume when Ms. Good talked about the additional special education, area dedicated in the elementary, right? If I remember reading correctly, that'll be a part of the facilities conversations and everything, or at least, be, because I know we were looking at elementary as a whole, so it would potentially be part of that discussion. I did have one, and I don't know if this is difficult or not, but the box down in the corner, it shows the IEPs and the number of paras and the number of staff, like those numbers. Is there any way we could somehow graphically represent that over time to understand how we're doing? I don't know how far back we have that data, But, you know, if we could get some context, like, you know, I guess, coming up on 1 year on the board, but, you know, what were we 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and how we're doing, and then have that overlay with the number of staff and paras and associates, just so we can kind of see that disparity more graphically. If that's too much work, that's fine, but I think it'd be kind of good to see that over time.
Well, and it looks like, is this showing one-on-one pairs? We have 11 students, but 9 staff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have another question? Okay. Yeah, and just, you know, for the public and those maybe listening, we're hiring. There's jobs posted, so please apply. We'd love to have you join the team. Any other questions for Ms. Good? Okay. And then Mr. Weber's report. I'm excited to hear about the dance team. So that was on Mr. Weber's report, and Ross talked about that. It was awesome to see that Division I rating. Any other questions? Okay. And then Deputy Hollerud's report. I just had one question on that one. Yes, salvage tag inspections?
He probably needs to come up here and talk.
It's, do you want him to come up? Yeah. No one can hear you. Yeah. I assume, I just asked, I assume that's duties outside the school, but just included in the report, or maybe we're doing salvage vehicles in the parking lot. I just didn't know. Like Mr. Beckles, like, that thing is junk. I want it out of here.
So those are vehicles that they're deemed salvaged by insurance. Somebody else has bought them, done the repairs. For the most part, they're all people I know that I've been doing that as part of my job for like 8 years now.
Oh, okay.
It's all people I know that I feel comfortable with bringing them here to the school, hammer it out, send them on their way.
Gotcha.
It's a 15-minute thing, really.
Yep, okay, that makes sense. So since you're doing it here, you put it on the report, but I just didn't know how it had to do with the school, so, okay.
Since where I usually park, a lot of times people come at noon on their own lunch break. You know, some of the kids have asked, what are you doing with that? What are you talking to that guy out there for? What are you looking at his car door for? You know.
And knowing some of the kids here, they're probably asking you what motor was in it and all that stuff too, probably.
That gets
Yeah.
brought up, and some of that gets over my head pretty quick.
Yep. All right. Any other questions for Deputy Alderud?
Welfare checks, is that something, does it go to Madison County, come back here, and then what is that?
Kind of depends on the call. The one that's, while there's multiple on there, was a lot of it was to one residence, and it was in another county. Okay. So it was me kind of coordinating with them and then getting that back. And other times it has flat out been in Truro, and I've just been the one that's driven right on over there to take care of it. And
Oh, got it.
so each call's different on that. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you for walking up for the 2 questions, and appreciate you being.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the superintendent report. We have a facilities update.
Garrett has been waiting patiently.
Yes.
You are up. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Nothing really new or exciting to update you, just progress as usual out there. Science Labs Rise, we're just really getting the final closeout documentations. I think I mentioned last time we're hoping to bill retainage in as part of the November pay app. We didn't get that in, so we're really pushing hard for that in December to get it wrapped up, get the retainage released. It's not a whole lot for the science lab project, but just a couple of closeout documents we need. Up there at the fields, making progress, a little slower than we were hoping, but we're still pushing along, working inside the concession stand really. Electricians pulling a lot of wire, getting ready for paint, then follow quickly with plumbing fixtures and whatnot. Really out in the fields, they're getting wrapped up. There's a couple of, call it loose ends for fencing that we need to get them to come back and do. Scoreboards got installed. So really coming along up there, we'll be in great shape here in the spring when we get turn the lights on and get the grass growing again. So Yeah, other than that, if you guys had any questions of where we're at to date, I can answer them now. If anything comes up over the next couple of weeks, feel free to reach out and I can follow up.
The parking lot ready for people to start parking in, or do you have to wait?
We,
Because tonight there was 0 parking when I got here.
it's ready, but contractually I'd say no, because we haven't
Okay.
done a punch list walk, so.
Officially not open yet.
Officially not open yet.
Are you
It's
doing the
striped,
ribbon
it's ready to
cutting
go.
then? Is that, no? Okay.
Yeah. We'll get it opened up here with
Okay.
everything else. We are hoping to do kind of an exterior site punch list walk here in the next, before the holidays.
Okay.
And that kind of puts a stamp that, yeah, everything outside has been completed per spec, and we can maybe kind of, not necessarily release that, but kind of draw a line there and then move on concession stand later.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, using that parking lot, have we looked at having an entrance on the north side of the school that would go directly? I know that there's the playground, and then there's the library, that whole north wall. Have we talked about having another entrance? Because, there's not really an entrance to the school from that to here. Just, you know what I'm saying? There's the parking lot in the back by the kitchen area, and then there's parking lot straight across. I didn't know if there was gonna be like a secure kind of door, main entrance that people could, if they're gonna park back there, and then, for overflow parking or whatever. I don't know if we've thought through that. Maybe it's on there, I just don't remember seeing it. Maybe it's not needed, I don't know. Something to think about.
Yeah, that's something we'll think about, and we can talk through as you guys are planning kind of the next steps, but currently it's not shown that way. It was just up there for baseball, softball, but
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, there's a busy parking lot out there before the board meeting tonight, so definitely needed.
I'm sure Mr. or Mr. McKinney will allow them to just walk through the kitchen or the band room. Sure, they'll be okay with that. No. Yeah. No, I think that's a great question. Understand logistics for, things that are happening inside the school, if people want to use that parking lot, essentially, how that works. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yep. All right. Next, we have the board policy review. It's the first reading of the 8-900 series. By law, we're required to review all of our do you want to do this? Go ahead.
So I just want to remind you, this is just a normal review of our policies. Nothing in here has any major changes or changes, period. If there would be something in here, anytime we do this type of review, we would point that out directly. Otherwise, it's just a straight review of all this series, and then we'll do that every 5 years for all of our series. So.
Yeah, this is the opportunity. It's not just a regular review, like it's pulled up in case a board member wants to propose changes, gives you the opportunity to read through it. Obviously, you can propose changes of any policy at any time. We can bring it up, but this just kind of forces a review. I have read every single one of these over the last week and a half, and I don't see anything, that jumps out, at least in this set of policies. There are ones in the future that I would like to, but we will have 2 readings on this. So if you guys have anything that you want to propose to change on any of those, you can get with Mr. Grandin between now and our next meeting to craft something, and then you could bring it to the next board meeting for us to review and potentially vote on a change.
I just have a quick question. So we're on the 800s and the 900s. Is there a reason why we combine those two?
They're just kind of similar to what Nathan was saying. They're just some of the more simple series to go through. So they're not, I think it's 500 series is really long, really big, where these are the smaller ones, so we just combine them.
Okay, thanks.
And it's rotating. You got to get through all of them in 5 years. So every year we do. So you might do the 500 series by itself. All right, there's no vote on this or anything. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Next, we have discuss approve the consent items. You guys should have a copy of the past board meeting minutes. Again, thank you for changing the formats on those. They're like a It's easier to read, I like them. We have the monthly bills and financial statements. Again, the statement of positions, I know you added that, last board meeting or whatever, that's extremely helpful on that to be able to see each of the buckets and where we're spending money. Then we had resignations and contracts. So Heather Peacock, high school volleyball coach resignation, and Ashley Brillin resigned from associate effective December 25th. And then we have the open enrollment summary or abstract that you can review. Is there any discussion on the consent items? Seeing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent items.
Been properly motioned to approve the consent items. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right, next we have our action agenda. First up is the district calendar. On my quick review, there's not a whole lot of change other than maybe reduction of some days and the fact that we're having to start on a Monday this year. We got a couple half days to start with. And I did confirm that it did go through the calendar committee. I asked Chad about that, and it was reviewed and blessed by them. So
I put the summary in there, but it's pretty similar to this year's district calendar. We did add Monday and Tuesday as 2-hour early outs. The committee felt like starting on a Monday could be a little rough for kids and staff. So having 2-hour early out to start the year will be beneficial. With starting on a Monday, 2 weeks of winter break, just like we have this year. A week of spring break, last day of school is May 22nd. So I put some comparisons to where we are this year compared to what the proposed calendar would be. So we're a few hours shy on our hours from this current year calendar. We're 1 day shorter with 2025-26 calendar because of how the days, remember we can't start until August 23rd. So. And then with the hours that we do have, there are 8 built-in days over the minimum. So that comes out to be about 54 hours. So if we have a snow day or whatever, there's hours built in there. So.
is there a discussion on the calendar? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 district calendar.
Been properly motioned to approve the calendar. Is there a second?
I will second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next we have our board policy update, second reading. As a reminder, we found out our policies only require 2 readings, so that's why it's a vote tonight. We reviewed this last time. There's just minor, wording changes in these, but is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the policies 603.01, 700, and 701.05.
It's been properly motioned to approve the board policy updates as presented on the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next up, we have the early retirement retention staff program for support staff. As a reminder, last year, I believe we had, open this up. Last year, we had, on January of last year, we had approved this policy where, can you actually articulate this better than me? I'm reading the box, but I don't know how to say it properly.
Yep, so back in January of last year, so almost a year ago, that TOPS section was approved for the support staff. Depending on how many years they had been contracted here continually with the district, and then giving value to their sick leave balance. So the top option is as is what was approved last year in January, and then the options going down are changing the dollar amount for each set of years with the district, and some of them changing the value for the sick leave balance also for those employees.
Okay, and what it's saying on the left-hand side is how many staff are eligible for that this year, those numbers there, okay. So one of the things, I kind of brought this up, first off, there's discussion, on this, so, I brought this up when we were talking about the teacher, retirement plan that I think voted on, was it last board meeting, the meeting before? The money for this comes out of the management fund. I said general last time and she had to correct me, management fund. And there's only so much in that bucket, and it's used for everything going forward, or everything else in the district as well. So we do have to be responsible, with this funding going forward. With that stated, it's also a huge retention, thing to keep our support staff here, and keep them engaged and want to be here, as part of the district for the long term. So, next year, this isn't guaranteed any year. And one of the things I just want to make sure that, everyone understands is that it's not guaranteed. So, if you're one of these people that's on the list, they really, need to look at it and make the decision that's best for them, but knowing that it's not guaranteed year after year after year. So, for me, where I'm at personally, if we're approving it for teachers, definitely, I want to continue supporting it for staff. That's what I said last year. For me, I just encourage the board. My thought is continuing as is, but also, letting people know and letting the community know that management fund isn't with unlimited money. And there's a good chance that it will not be available next year, depending on where we are sitting financially. So that's my thoughts on it.
Well, and as we were talking about, the need for additional associates, does that funding come out of this same bucket? So,
No, for anyone who would take this, it would come out of the management fund. Salaries for just their normal salaries for working all comes out of the general fund.
yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is there any, go ahead, Monica.
Within the recommendation, I was just reading through that, and I like that it says limit of 5 applications. So it's not giving it to everybody, which does help within that.
That'll be in the motion, so you can set what you want that to be. When all I can look back on is looking at the certified. There's been times where maybe there was a limit of 3 or a limit of 5, so that can be set as many, whatever the board wants.
And I'm assuming that's first come, first serve.
It can be by first come, first serve. It can be by seniority. If we're going to limit it, then yeah, we'd want to specifically say exactly what that is. The other early retirement it's about a 2-week window that application process is open. So I just followed what that application and paperwork looks like for this one.
So just to recap the options for board members here. One, you have the opportunity to make a motion to approve as is, or any one of the other 3 options. As is would be just continue next year. Along with that, you can add, as part of your motion to say a limit of X amount, whatever it may be, that you want to include. So looks like we have 9. My math is incorrect available. So, and you would. So do you need us to motion on the process, either first come, first serve, or are you just going to use the existing process if a board member decides to limit it?
I'd like for it to be stated how we want to look at it. If we want to look at seniority wise, first come, first serve works, like any of those are fine. We need to have something stated for that.
And that's assuming a board member wants to set a limit on it. As long as there's, not a limit, then you wouldn't have to do that additional motion.
Correct. And
Yeah.
it's not saying that all 9 of these are going to
Yes.
turn it in either.
And
so-
if they did, it would be 71,000 would be the number that would get paid
Yes.
out, so, yeah. Yeah. All right, is there any further discussion? All right. I'm not sure, we didn't have a limit on it next year, or last year, and I think that would, for me, just get too complicated for us to be deciding that year, so for me, I can't motion, so I gotta tell you guys what's on my mind. It's just approving, as is, without, limit, and, again, just emphasizing to the public that there's a good chance that, neither of these packages will be available next year, given the financial decisions we have to make, so. Seeing that, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the early retirement option as stated last year, as 15 years of continuous full-time experienced employment and age 55. With no limit.
All right, it's been properly motioned to approve the staff early retirement as presented from last year with no limit on who can apply. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry, Monica. I went too quick. Got it. It was 4 ayes. Okay. All right. Next, we have approval of the November pay apps. You guys see those invoices are very large and deal with our paying for our new stadium and stuff like that. So is there any discussion on the November pay apps for DCI Group? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the November pay apps.
It's been properly motioned to approve the November pay apps. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of DCI invoice number 10. This is for, can you remind me what this one's for? The design? Okay, so it's related to the field. So, okay, so this is paying the DCI group for the same thing for the construction's new ball field, $55,893. Is there a discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the DCI invoice number 10.
Been properly moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, and next one. This one's exciting. So we have the quotes for the electrical work for getting AC in our remaining classroom and instructional areas that don't have AC. Looks like we sent out quotes to 5 companies in total, and only 1 company came back with a quote. Is there a discussion?
We didn't get any other quotes back at all? Any comments? Any?
We did not receive any information back from the other companies.
All right, so this is a, looks like a quote for $94,600. This is just to do the electrical work.
Yep, so like I had mentioned, I think at last board when we were first talking about it, or continued talking about it. So Hanley Electric was able to meet the timeline and actually wanted to start getting some of this work done over winter break, over spring break, and that type of thing. This is just for the electrical portion of it. Potentially by the January meeting, we'll come back with the actual units that'll go in those spaces, quotes for those. So those will be sent out to multiple people to get bids on, or quotes on those. So then we'll put it all together in one package. But this, we want to get this one in and taken care of so that they could start if that's was going to be the way to go, so.
Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for the Hanley Electric quote for $94,600 to complete the AC electrical work.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Hanley Electric for $94,600.
It's been properly motioned to approve the bid from Hanley Electric. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have our upcoming date. The next board meeting will be Monday, January 27th, 2025. As a courtesy to my fellow board members, I will be in Belgium for that, so I will dial in remotely, but our Madam Vice President will have to lead that meeting. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
It's been properly motioned to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.